to get ready with me because this is fun. Like, I haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm gonna get back to that. So I was thinking about the question Zita asked me yesterday. The first question I think she asked me where home was. And I qualified my answer as being a COVID answer because I said Cebu was home and because I said I wanted to get out of Hong Kong. I wanted to dive a bit deeper into that answer. So I'm gonna summarize it in 3 parts. So the first part is my working definition of home, and then the second part is Hong Kong as home, and then my conclusions, the privilege of having a home and not taking it for granted. How do I define home? A quick Google search will show you that home is a place of permanence where a person feels like they belong. Being a third culture kid in Hong Kong, I've had to explore who I was in relation to where I was as I built my personal identity. My life experiences have enriched who I've become, but my feelings have always been pervaded by this sense of dis-ease and unrest. Nothing is ever really stable or permanent, and it comes from Hong Kong being this transient place, right? People come and go all the time here. But then again, the argument is, isn't change the only thing that's permanent in the world anyway? When you grow up, you need stability. You need security. Some semblance of security that things won't actually change. When I answer the question, where is home? It logically makes sense to me that home is Cebu because it's permanent. We have a house there. We have family there. We fit in. We look and sound and behave more similarly there than we do outside of the Philippines. But as I have experienced in my own life, it's these subtle differences that remind me time and time again that it's not always a perfect fit. It's never going to be a perfect fit. And that's not a bad thing or a good thing, it just is. And it's made living there more interesting, more fun. So the next part is, can the same be said for Hong Kong? Hong Kong is known as Asia's World City. It prides itself in being an international melting pot of culture, East meets West interaction. I'm not going to go into like the deeper implications of what that means now or in this current climate or whatever. I'm just going to speak from my own personal experience. And what I can say is that Hong Kong is a bubble made up of smaller bubbles. For better or worse, our amazing urban planning has made it so that you don't really have to go out of your neighborhood to look for what you need, which boggles my mind because before, especially when we first moved to Cebu, you have a crush on someone and then the chances of them going to the church or the mass that you attended on Sunday was so much higher than here. Like, that's just like my basic, or like you go to Ayala or SM, Ayala, you know. For those of you who know, you know. There was a chance that you would see them. Whereas here, I had a crush on someone who lived in Shatin, and up until Festival Walk was built, like, I had no chance of seeing that person outside of school. You know, like, we are so ensconced in our own space that you don't really leave where you live. That has, by and large, kept me insulated from experiencing a wider culture. Plus the fact that, like, one of my life's biggest regrets is that I didn't study Cantonese formally. It's never too late, I know, so don't come for me. If it wasn't for this, like, active engagement, you know, this desire to, like, immerse myself in the culture that is available and accessible to me, then I wouldn't have any other concept of Hong Kong other than like my immediate experience in my life in school or a stereotypical like, oh, Hong Kong is good food and skyscrapers. But I'm really grateful that when I came back after university, one of my best friends reintroduced me to Hong Kong, and it was so cool to see this city grow up with me. Kind of. When I left, there was still an option to not have an octopus card. Today, it's like you'll shoot yourself in the foot if you don't have an octopus card. That's just like a simple, super small, but actually really, really big change. Lots of kids don't realize octopus cards weren't available to like mid-2000s. One of the reasons why I was really grateful Rick took me around and like genuinely made an effort to get me back on track was because these bi-monthly excursions where we explore our own backyard in a sense was really helpful because it not only reintroduced me to the city, but it also showed me what the changes were. And from that experience, it ignited this passion in me that this is the Hong Kong I want people to see. This is what I've fallen in love with, right? This is home. That's a separate thing in and of itself. And maybe this YouTube channel will eventually become like a platform to do just that. It's a project for another place and time. Anyway, long story short, yes, Hong Kong is home. Its impermanence doesn't disqualify it from it being so. And feeling lost in it and not knowing who you are in it doesn't disqualify it either. But the one thing I will say, though, is I miss traveling. I think one of the best gifts that living in Hong Kong has given me is that it's so accessible to travel into and out of Hong Kong. So I miss that. But hopefully after, like, COVID ends, we can all go back to a life where we can travel. I'm just really worried I won't be able to wait that long. Like, I don't know. Anyway, the last part of this hot take is my conclusion and how important this experiment has reminded me not to take this place for granted. In the face of constant change, I have found some stability in that. So much so that I forget that it is a privilege to live here and to be from here, and it's not anything that I am owed. You know, the circumstances that allowed me this life are not within my control, and it's only by God's grace that we're here. But I also know that my life can change very quickly, as we've seen in the last 3 months. So all I have literally is this moment right now, today. What I can do is to keep choosing to make this place my home, and I'm really grateful. Even if you call a place home, it's not the place itself. It's everything that it represents, I think. It's the people and the experiences and the memories that you have. I have more eloquent friends that are able to express this much better than I have, but that's exactly what makes Hong Kong home for me. It's being able to meet up and talk about these things with other people. The main reason why I wanted to do this video is because I didn't want to discount Hong Kong as being home, because it has been home and it is home. And reason why it was such a reaction, and I don't want to sound defensive. Why did I say Cebu was home? Like, I haven't lived there in so long. And I think that's what it is, right? Like, you live in one place for so long, but you know that there are other places that have pieces of your heart that are also worth calling home. And when you're in one place for too long, you start to miss those other pieces of your heart. So that's my point, and I hope I was able to convey that, and try again tomorrow. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I'm never gonna finish this. It's so funny. I think my eyebrows are a bit too thick, but here we are.